the editing process.
Mm.
So was that because it is something like, so you work on it for years and then you have kind of that attachment and then you get some rejections. Is the editing process kind of tough, like to hand them your, you know basically your child and be like, please be nice to this?
Um, I I think it's not as tough as probably querying is. I guess a lot of it is grammatical. Have I put my commas in the right place? And sometimes when I get the edits back, I'm like, oh shoot, I knew that one. And the plot type stuff, because she does developmental editing as well, um, is really helpful, and that's what you learn from. And so actually, I always feel like, well, that's a relief that I've seen that before. It's gone out. So it's usually things like, this scene needs to be a bit longer, or can you look at the tension in this scene? But not anything. I guess you can kind of tell when you're writing if it works or not. So um, I've had other works that I've thought, actually this isn't viable. So you set it aside and think it's not going to work. But if you've written it and it works, I don't think the editing process is that scary. I mean, obviously when you open it, you're thinking, oh God, what's he going to say? But I think I like the fact that it makes me a better writer, and it's quite satisfying to see, look, that's what I could have thought about, or that's someone else's perspective, and it is helpful.
Yeah, I think one thing for me that's always tough is like, I'll write it and it makes sense to me, but I know what I'm trying to say. And then I'll give it to someone and they'll be like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what you're saying at all. I think that's where one of the biggest benefits of doing that, especially that developmental edit, of like, is what I'm trying to say actually coming across?
Yeah, I think I've definitely been there, where I think I've taught myself now to add in like a bit of extra context, and sort of, it feels like you're over explaining when you're writing, but you're really not, because the reader's not inside your head, so they don't know that you've thought this thought 50 times before. They're only hearing it for the first or second time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that is definitely something that I've had to, like get used to how much information you put in and how you phrase your language.
Yeah, and use the same editor then for developmental editing and for like line editing, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was just talked to someone not too long ago that they used different people for those
Mm.
things, and they went to someone who was like just the developmental editor, and then they went to someone who was the line editor.
Yeah, I think that's possibly the more normal way to do it, but I just knew Charlotte was good at was good at both, so I
Yeah,
guess I kind of hit jackpot there. Yeah, um, she's pretty amazing. So
I think it'd be hard to, if you were as an editor, it'd be hard not to become good at the developmental editing too, because you're reading so many stories, you you just kind of naturally have to learn about that kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, I do beta reads for, is it beta reads? That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Beta reads for people. Sometimes, and I try and look at a little bit of grammar, and as well as plot and things. But obviously not not qualified, but just in the sense that it gives a different perspective of people. But I think you do naturally look at both, but I guess it just depends on what editing courses you've done. And I'm going to stop talking because I don't know enough about it. But I think it is true that you do look at everything anyway naturally when you're reading it from that perspective.